The objective I chose is to speak like a native speaker. The reason I chose this objective is that, from my point of view, the terrible accent as well as the bad organization of a sentence is the most serious problems of most Hong Kong students and Chinese mainlander students. That is because the Chinese, both Mandarin and Cantonese, their organization and pronunciation are very different from English, so it is quite hard for a guy whose mother language is Chinese to learn English perfectly. But I found it necessary if you want to communicate with foreigners in a better way, because whenever I find myself speaking to a foreigner, I notice I'm speaking with a foreigner who is from a very different world from me, and I am using my second language to talk with him. It makes the communication cannot go into deep. So, in order to communicate better, I think it is essential to speak like a native speaker. So, in order to enhance my ability of that field, I chose to listen to the speeches provided by those native speakers, for example, from Canada or from America. The two speeches I chose this time is from the website TED. The first one is Everyday Leadership, produced by Mr. Dudley. The second one is probably more famous because it is produced by Steve Jobs. The name of the speech is How to Live Before You Die. The learning experience is quite good because I really get something from the process of listening to the two speeches. My pronunciation may not have such obvious progress, but I can see if I maintain listening to the speech every day and speak out with them, my pronunciation and English standard will be improved a lot in not a long time. So now I have to describe all steps in my process. At first, for every single speech, I listened to the speech without the script for one time, in order to see I understood the meaning of the speech or not. For the How to Live Before You Die, as the speech is quite understandable and I didn't find any difficult word occurred in that speech, so I think I have understood 99% of the meaning of that speech. So for the second time I started to speak out with Steve Jobs. Because I cannot maintain the same pace with Steve Jobs, I sometimes click stop in order to catch up his speed. During the process of speaking out, I try to speak more like him, both the tone, the accent, and as well as the organization, that's for sure. And for the second speech, Everyday Leadership, because the Canadian speaker speaks quite fast, so I probably missed some of the points in his speech, so I guess I have understood 95% of his speech. But that's good enough that time, I think. So I speak out with him for the second time. And for the third time, for both of the speeches, as I am quite familiar with the content, so I can speak out more fluently and without pause. That is all my steps. And for the reflection, I think after I studied like that, although my speaking accent did not improve a lot in a short time, but I can see the effectiveness. I can learn not only the accent, the organization of a sentence, but also some new words and some new ideas from those kind of learning process. So it is a quite perfect objective and activity. So I think I have chosen the right activity. For the difficulties, because the second speech, How to Live Before You Die, did not provide script. So seeing several times I found I cannot understand a word. I could not open the script and check it out. So it makes provided some of the difficulties. The effectiveness of this learning process is quite well, but I think I can improve one point, is that I can making some note when I was listening and speaking out, because it will make my learning process more effective. I'm not a man who is fond of making notes, because I did not make notes any time in my lifetime, I think, but I guess it should be a better way to learn things, especially to learn a language, especially when you are learning a foreign language. For the self-evaluation, I think I normally basically achieved the objective I set for myself. However, I still have a long way to go, so I should maintain those kind of independent learning process in order to gain a better English ability. For the future, I think it's essential for me to keep this kind of independent learning, especially speaking out with those speakers. It will be very useful and helpful.